Hi there everybody, and welcome back to another stock analysis video. Today we are going to be analyzing the company Cardinal Health. Never analyzed this company before on the channel. They do have earnings coming out on Thursday pre-market, so figured, you know what, let's actually analyze this company today and see if maybe we would like to buy it at the current share price. There might be some pretty good value here. So with that said, let's get started with this analysis. We are going to jump into the dividend summary, guys. Cardinal Health actually does pay out a dividend of around 3.21%, which is actually fairly decently high, which ends up being 50 cents per share for an annual payout of almost $2 at $1.98. Payout ratio is 41.07%, so it's pretty below my 60% mark. However, we're going to take a look at this in regards to the cash flow, because cash flow is what companies use to pay out a dividend, not necessarily their net income, which is what this is based out of. The 5-year growth rate is, well, not that good, right? The 5-year growth rate is only 1.7%. There are better companies out there that have like in the double digits or even in the high single digits. So unfortunately, this is not looking too good. However, they have been paying out this dividend for 27 consecutive years, which does make them a dividend aristocrat. Ex-dividend date passed as of June 30th, payout date July 15th, and they pay their dividends quarterly. Coming now into the calculator, guys, we got the ticker symbol of CAH, market cap of $17.1 billion, PE of NA. That is not good at all. Now, I actually don't know why this is NA. I don't know if this is a Google thing that just Google Finance isn't finding it, because they actually, I mean, their net income is okay. We'll see all of the fundamentals in just one second, but it's nothing that would make it NA, at least in my personal opinion. We have seen companies with much worse fundamentals that the PE isn't NA. So unfortunately, do that as you will. Share price of $62.75. Can't really tell based off of the PE if this is good or not, so it is what it is. Looking at this annual dividends per share, we just saw of $1.98. This means that pretty much every single year they pay out $540.54 million in dividends every single year, in accordance to the numbers of shares outstanding that they currently have. And if we take a look at their 5-year average free cash flow and then subtract the 5-year average minus this amount of dividends being paid out every single year, we get around $1.3 billion that they still have left in their free cash flow. And if we look at the last year's free cash flow and do the exact same math, we get almost $1.5 billion. Which actually ends up being, guys, a payout ratio of last year of 26.64%. And on the average 5-year, we get 29.41%. Very, very low, meaning that they could still afford this dividend. Now let's come over here and see some fundamentals, starting of course with the net income. We got 5 years ago, guys, of $1.3 billion to 1 year ago of $611 million, million with an M. That is a decrease of 53%. And on top of it being a decrease, guys, we can see that this graph is absolutely nutty. You can see that from 5 years ago to 4 years ago, decrease. From 4 years ago to 3 years ago, increase. And then from 3 years ago to 2 years ago, decrease. Though this decrease 2 years ago of $3.7 billion, it could be attributed to COVID. So that's perfectly understandable. But nonetheless, guys, as of 1 year ago, they did rebound to only $611 million. It was still significantly lower than that of 5 years ago. And on top of that, this graph is not consistent at all. Overall, I'm gonna have to give this a really low score of around 5%. Coming down to the free cash flow, the most important of all the profit metrics, because this is the one that companies use to pay out the dividend, buy back shares, pay down their debts, make acquisitions, and overall grow the company. Very, very important, guys, for this value to be, of course, positive, and second of all, to be consistently increasing. Now, we do have some numbers here that kind of is 50-50. 5 years ago of $797 million to 1 year ago of essentially $2 billion. That is an increase of 155% with a 5-year average of $1.8 billion. Now you're saying that's actually a fairly good increase. However, this graph is not consistent. Sure, it is in the positive. We do see a massive decrease here 2 years ago. COVID related, essentially ignore it. But nonetheless, as you can see, from 5 years ago to 4 years ago, they did $797 million to $2.4 billion. And then they did again $2.4 billion 3 years ago. And even after this COVID dip that they do have here in the free cash flow, afterwards, they only were able to go up to $2 billion or so. Will they be able to continue this uptrend, hopefully in the future, and surpass this $2.4 billion? Sure, but as it stands right now, guys, this is not looking good. So I'm actually going to give this a fairly low score, but higher than the net income, and I'm going to go at around like a 55%. Now looking at the revenue, we got 5 years ago of $129.9 billion, essentially $130 billion, to 1 year ago of $162.5 billion, increase of 25% on the dot, and this is actually looking very, very consistently increasing. I'm going to give this, guys, a 100% because honestly, like, it's looking amazing, right? It's a consistent increase year over year. It has not missed a single beat. Coming down to the total assets minus the total liabilities. If the economy goes south, which in 2020 they did, right? The economy did go south for just a little bit, and that's why we see all of these crashes in the net income. But if this thing were to be prolonged for more than just a month, right? Will this company be able to survive? And as it currently stands, well, their assets are actually lower than their liabilities by $693 million. That's actually really, really unfortunate because they have been positive in the past 5 years. However, it has just been decreasing massively. So that's really, really bad because currently they cannot cover their liabilities with their assets. That's no good. Average total assets, we get around $41.4 billion. Average liabilities, we get around $37.7 billion. And doing this difference, we get $3.7 billion. Overall, guys, I have to give this a 0. I'm sorry. I wish I could give it higher, but it is just a decrease and it's going in the negatives. Sure, they had a little bit of an increase here, right, from 4 years ago to 3 years ago, but overall, guys, it is still just a decrease. I have to give this a 0. Now let's take a look at the cash flow minus the total liabilities because, as I said, cash flow, it is what companies use to pay down their debts. So it's really, really important for not just their assets to be positive or higher than their liabilities, which in this case unfortunately it is not, but the cash flow would also like it to be in the positive more than their liabilities, or at least be getting closer and closer to 0. The difference essentially to be getting closer and closer to 0. And unfortunately, as it stands, this is not the case. As of today, they're at negative $40.6 billion, and you can see right here they have been decreasing by a lot, honestly, right? So I'm actually going to give this, guys, another low score of around 5%. And you know what? I'm actually going to come back up here and I will actually change this to around 5% for the same reasons that I'm about to say right now for the cash flow minus the liabilities. We did see a little bit of an increase here from 5 to 4 years ago, right? And then we did see it dip again to 32.2 billion. And as of 4 years ago, it was 31.5 billion. So that's essentially why I'm changing it to 5% for this one, and as well as for this one, because we did see a little bit of an increase right here as well. So you know what, I'm like, you know what, 5%, fine, 5%. That's absolutely nothing. Overall, guys, both of these metrics are still really, really bad. Now, when it comes to the most underrated of all the metrics, we got the shares outstanding. You want this, guys, to be decreasing, not increasing, because the more that this thing increases, especially if they pay out a dividend, it's actually really, really bad for the company. The more that this increases, this just means that your ownership of the company is actually decreasing as well, because now the cash flow is dispersed against more shares. Now, somebody actually pointed something out really, really important in one of my videos, saying that there is a tax for corporate buybacks. If that's the case, then that's definitely going to damper the shares outstanding going down. So yeah, unfortunately, it is what it is, but nonetheless, buying back shares, it is still a positive thing. And as it stands, when it comes to this, guys, this company is buying back at a reasonable amount of shares outstanding. 5 years ago of 316 million shares to today of 273 million shares. That is a decrease in the 5 year of 13.61%. And from the previous to the current year, that is from 1 year ago, that is a massive decrease actually. 291 million to today of 273 million. That is a decrease of 6.19%. Really, really good. And on top of that, because they're buying back shares, this means that their payout ratio is actually decreasing as well. And actually, coming back over here to the shares outstanding, I completely forgot to put this grade over here. I'm going to give this, guys, a 100% just because it does not get much better than this. This is an absolute gorgeous graph right here that we got. And now looking at the cash and equivalents, they currently hold around $2.4 billion with an average cash around $3.3 billion. So looking at a quick recap when it comes to this company, we got the net income 5%, free cash flow 55%, revenue 100%, assets minus liabilities 5%, cash flow minus liabilities 5%, shares outstanding 100%, overall grade of 51%. It is failing, guys. Their revenue and shares outstanding are great. Honestly, they need to pick up this net income as well as the assets minus liabilities and the cash flow. Cash flow is not really that important, but you would still like it to be going up, not necessarily getting deeper into the red. So But essentially, the one that's definitely bringing it down, it is this net income and as well as the free cash flow. They need to get these two numbers better. Overall grade, guys, 51%. So now let's come over here and make some assumptions. And unfortunately, if you guys see right here, when it comes to like the base level of assumptions, not adjusting for debt, we are essentially, guys, in the negatives. And well, I'm pretty sure you guys are saying that's impossible, that's no way. I'm actually going to do a book value analysis as well, just to prove to you guys that it's not just me that's saying that this company is worth at around $2. So now let's make some assumptions, low, median, high, using revenue growth, the predicted share buyback, and the required rate of return, which I like to keep flat at 10%. Coming over here now to Seeking Alpha's growth tab, we can see that the revenue growth year over year is 13%, and the revenue growth forward, it is 7%. So let's actually be conservative when it comes to this and say that the revenue growth year over year for the low assumption is at around 6%. For the median assumption, let's say at around 9%. And for the highest assumption, let's say at 12%. And now for the predicted share buyback, guys, they have been buying back shares at a really good amount. Do I personally think that they'll be buying back at this rate? I personally don't think so. So for the low assumption, let's actually make this at around 6%. For the median assumption, let's say 9%, and for the highest assumption, let's say 12%. Keep everything pretty much the same for the revenue growth and the predicted share buyback. They have been buying back 13%. Let's just say that at the best, they'll do 12%, a little bit less than what they currently have been doing. And now, guys, this puts me for the target share prices of, for the low assumption, $3.34, median assumption $3.81, and the high assumption $4.34. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to the target shares after debt, we get negative numbers for the low assumption of negative 17 cents, median assumption 20 cents, and high assumption 61 cents. Both the median and the high ones are in the positive. And now also adding a margin of safety of 5, 10, and 15% for the low assumption, this puts me at negative 14 cents to negative 16 cents. For the median assumption, we get 17 cents to 19 cents, and for the high assumption, we get 52 cents to 58 cents. Now, full stop. All of you guys are already saying there's no way, absolutely no way, that the share price is $62.75. First of all, how in the world can you say it's negative? What? How could it be negative? And on top of that, 61 cents, $4 at max. There's no way that this is correct. Okay. Now let's actually do a book value analysis, so that way we have no assumptions in place when it comes into this company. That way my opinion is completely removed from this. So let's actually do now a book value and tangible book value analysis when it comes to this company. Coming over here now to the book value per share, guys. Again, this is not taking into account my assumptions at all. All of this can actually be found on Seeking Alpha. In fact, I'll even show it to you guys right here. Book value per share, right here you go, and the tangible book value per share, here you go. And what this does, guys, it essentially takes the company's balance sheet, all of their assets on their books, and divides it by the shares outstanding for the book value. And as you can see, currently, guys, their book value per share is at negative $2.55. 5 years ago, it was at $21.54. That is down 112%. And now for the tangible book value per share, this is essentially the same thing as the book value. However, it removes anything that is non-tangible. And today's price, guys, is $31.94. I am so sorry. Negative $31.94. Whereas 5 years ago, it was negative $7.59. That is a drop of 321%. Now, do I believe that this one is more accurate than the book value? Some people think it is. However, when it comes to Cardinal Health, the way that they do their business, I don't believe that they have a lot of tangible assets. Their main assets involve non-tangible, so I'm willing to incline that this one is a lot more accurate than the tangible book value. But even then, guys, the current book value per share is at negative $2.55, and even 2 years ago it only went as high as $6.15 as of 1 year ago, right? And 2 years ago it was $6.11. It is what it is. I am so terribly sorry, but these values right here, this analysis when it comes to book value, has nothing to do with my assumptions. So in both cases, we're pretty much saying that it is very much expensive at the current share price of $60 or so. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Does that mean that we buy this company? It really is up to you. If you believe in this company, if you think that, they'll do great, if you have some inside information, I maybe don't, because when I do my analysis on a company, I like to look at them at a 10,000 foot view. make sure that all of these numbers make sense, and if they do, then I delve in deeper to see what the company actually does. If something like this comes up, I'm just like, I'm out. I'm not doing this. I'm not gonna research it anymore because it's not worth my time. It really isn't. If you guys know something about it, then if you think that, oh, they'll do great because of this and this and this, then by all means, make your own assumptions, put your money into this company if you so wish to do so. This is not financial advice, and every investment is the present value of all future cash flow. So if you guys would like to have these calculators, the discounted free cash flow, the book evaluation calculator, the re-evaluation calculator, and a dividend tracking sheet, please have it for free. It's available for everybody to have. It's in my calculators playlist. There's a link in the description. You come up here, you make a copy, and that way you can have the calculators for free if you so wish to have them. Again, when it comes to this company, guys, the book value, I have no control over this. I really don't. This has no assumptions, nothing, and it's still showing me that it's at a negative $2.55. So it is what it is. Again, if you guys think that I'm wrong, that's perfectly fine. Again, you do what you want with your money. I personally think that right now it is way too expensive for this company right now in accordance to their fundamentals. And on top of that, guys, their fundamentals in general could be a little bit better nonetheless. And for these free calculators, guys, as well as free content, which by the way, yesterday I actually made a live stream, a really quick live stream. It kind of started about talking CPI, and then it divulged into just talking about dividends and all this crazy stuff. So if you guys want to catch this type of content, as well as having these free things, all I'm asking for in return is just like, subscribe, comment. Really does help here with the algorithm on YouTube. Thank you so much for everybody who have subscribed. For 822 subscribers, that is amazing. Thank you all so much. Hopefully we can reach 1,000 by the end of the year. I have a special video in the works, so if you guys want to see that, make sure you like, subscribe, comment. It really does help. Thank you all so much. Now let's actually analyze this company for its dividend, because at $1.98 annual dividends per share, that's actually not too shabby. So if you make the average monthly US income $5,725, if you were to put in 1 month's income into this company, this would buy you 91.24 shares. And at the current annual dividends per share, this gets you $180.65 in annual dividends, quarterly dividends of $45.16, and monthly dividends of $15.05. So it is what it is. It's actually not that good. I mean, okay, it's good, don't get me wrong, but I personally like it if it were to be over $200. But on top of that, guys, it's like the fundamentals just aren't that good for me. And if according to the book value ratio calculator, it's just not worth it right now in accordance to this. So buying this company for its dividend alone, I personally don't think it's a good investment. But then again, that's just my opinion. All in all, guys, Cardinal Health is a company that when I first started, honestly, I wasn't expecting this. I was not expecting this. I thought this was gonna be like a blue chip, awesome, perfect, everything. Yeah. I mean, just based off of one of the first couple metrics, the PE and A, that was a huge red flag. Unfortunately, it proceeded to pretty much the end of the analysis, even to the target share prices. So fortunately, it is what it is. Again, not financial advice. Every investment is the present value of all future cash flow. If you guys want to put money into this company, by all means do it. I'm not going to stop you, right? I mean, I can't. It's impossible. And if you want to believe my analysis, then fine. If you don't. All I'm saying is, based off of something that had nothing to do with my opinion, the book value per share, it's essentially saying that it should be worth at a negative value. That's pretty much all I'm saying. That pretty much does it for this video. Like if you like, comment, subscribe. It really does help it with the algorithm on YouTube, as I said. You guys can follow me on my new tech sites. Link in the description below. So with that said, peace out. And I will see you all in the next stock analysis video.